feel the key to tonight's game is whether their key position players can play well. McDonald, Fairley and McCann, they seem to alternate between full back, centre half back and full forward and centre half forward. They really do have difficulty in settling down, and if they can get a good game out of their key forwards tonight, certainly that will go a long way for them nearly winning this game, because the Cracker brothers and Larkin, very good players along with German and Spargo, but of course I would think that the smaller players of the West Coast Eagles can match the North Melbourne players, and we saw the last time that these two sides met over here in WA that the Eagles won by 74 points. So I'm still tipping them to continue on with that form.
Umpire Chris Mitchell with the ball. He's officiating with none other than Peter Cameron, who was in the wars after last weekend's match at the Western Oval. The Eagles are going from right to left. They're back in their traditional, should we call it, yellow-based jumper. Free kick to North Melbourne out of that centre square exchange. Wobbly old kick from Gastev. Umpire Cameron can't really dish out 15 metres for that because he's not sure whether that bad bounce was intentional. And Peter German takes the free from the centre of the ground and pumps North into attack with a thumper. Beyond half forward, Mossop, who started off in a key forward post. Keane coming off that brilliant last quarter last Sunday. Malaxos with a lot of courage. Steele face on, well done. Anir for the Eagles. Now Malaxos, now Zanotti through the centre, long towards full forward, but a wayward kick to the pocket. Ross Smith back to half back. McDonald, free kick, copped it high, takes it on the half-back flank, along with 15 metres, and Doug Hayward, what a night.
It's a beautiful night, Tim, and perfect conditions for football, as Phil Cracker shows how's it done. John Law's a little bit slow, Zanotti's with it, dodges, missed a very strong bump, chance for McDonald again. McDonald's in trouble but does it nicely. Out towards Smith it goes, down towards the flank, running with the flight of the ball is Main Waring, who was a brilliant player last week. Out to Brennan, down to Malaxos, he'd better hurry. A magnificent spoil there from behind, picked up eventually, and bolting downfield is German. German short passes, and it's missed out there by Hepburn playing his second game.
Big roar from the crowd. High tackle, says the umpire. Free kick to Main Waring. A lot of discussion over here in the West about the interpretations of VFL umpires, and they certainly make their feelings known. Phil Cracker roves to a nice bit of ruck work. Kick from Law to half forward. All the Eagles in the air, and Bartlett comes down with it. Taller than my co-commentator. Off to Worsfold. To the wing, Lewis. At the back, Gastev. Good hand pass. Lamb at 50 metres out. Long. Offlock his hand for a behind. The first score of the match coming after 2 minutes and 25 seconds, and it's a minor to the Eagles.
And North Melbourne have lined up with Mossop at full forward, young Hepburn at centre half forward, and Donald McDonald in the ruck on Laurie Keane.
That's Phil Cracker. Phil Cracker early looks as if he may, in this early stage, looks as if he may have the job of shadowing, believe it or not, Robert Wiley. Ross Smith, a perfect kick. Out wide it goes to Spargo from 50 metres out. Kicks it to Mossop, who marks. And Mossop showed wonderful speed that time to take front position, and this is almost a certain goal to North Melbourne. Well, Big John, who had one big finals day when he was in the forward line, but traditionally a ruckman, and a ruckman who this year at North Melbourne started slowly, but has been a very vital cog in the latter half of the season, and been a good buy from Geelong. Mossop comes in, shoots for goal, and kicks a point.
Crowd's disappointed.
That was a very bitterly disappointed. Not a sound, but then a yell, and that was a bad one from John Mossop.
Well, for an experienced player like John Mossop, that was unforgivable.
Could have given him such a good start too and built the confidence right up. Miles to Keane, who we've criticised for not holding too many overhead, but we're told is very much a confidence player, and after last Sunday his confidence could be nowhere but sky high. 15 metres as well against McDonald, and big Laurie Keane roosts the Eagles into attack. Glendinning's at half forward. Nice hand pass, Hart. Anir, only 40 metres out. Good kick. First goal of the night to the Eagles vice-captain John Anir, just beyond the 4-minute mark. They've made a good start and they lead by 6 points.
Well, we see Glendinning, he's actually playing in the forward pocket, and Ian Fairley has the the role of manning him up, and Chris Lewis has started at centre-half forward, and John Law's on him. But there's John Anir, who's done so well this year, playing as a ruck rover and also playing on the wing. So he wasn't really a goal kicker to this year, but he's kicked about 16 goals so far for the Eagles, so that part of his game has improved tremendously.
And it looks as if North have got Hepburn at centre-half forward, which is a big assignment for a second gamer. Kicked out there by Larkin to open territory on the half-forward flank. Brennan showing pace and skill, pushes it along very strongly and gets the applause from the pro crowd. Right here in the grandstand, it's out of bounds.
Fired up crowd, fired up West Coast Eagles. The job for Alexander this week has been to keep their minds on the job after a grand final-like win last week. Love, who started in that memorable game in Sydney when he kicked 6 goals in the second half. Whistle, free kick. North Melbourne's way to Hepburn, the youngster with the big task. Came out of the West from Claremont, played his first game last week.
He kicked a goal with his first kick in league football.
60 metres out. Big left footer. Just about there. What a kick. Oh, that is a monster. And North Melbourne get a reply, and you can see why they might have him in a fixed post on the forward line if he can kick the ball like that every time he lays his hands on it.
Well, we mentioned before the start of the game, Tim, that North have had trouble over the last couple of years with their key position players. And tonight they've lined Mossop up at centre-half forward, and of course the new boy Mark Hepburn. And Mossop at full forward, I should say, and Hepburn at centre-half forward. So obviously they're trying to do something different at North Melbourne to get them out of this slump.
Still only 18 years old is Mark Hepburn. 19th birthday late this month. McDonald comes in and goes at Keane, and Keane withstood it well. Hart steadies and kicks it long, looking for his captain. Glendinning with Fairley. Glendinning strong. Hits it away. Well played. Could take a free. Will take a free. On a play on. Chris Lewis shoots it across and in front McCann. Very well done, Steve McCann. I'm not quite sure what Lewis eventually tried to do. Whether he tried to pass or shoot for goal, whichever it was totally unsuccessful.
The Eagles by 1 point. After 6.5 minutes, McCann kicks it very long. Zanotti from behind goes the thump. Malaxos the scout, and also Mainwaring. No push in the back. Love, well played. Got himself out of trouble beautifully. Steele. Sean Smith front position. Too far. Hepburn at the back, and Bartlett. Good hand pass inside to Smith. Pressure from Brennan. Turner. Keane. High. Mainwaring. Good spoil from Chandler. First gamer over the line for a throw-in.
Centre wing position, grandstand side. Laurie Keane, Donald McDonald there to try and unsettle him. McDonald a very vigorous player. Ooh, here's McDonald with the ball. Got a lot of time. Left foots it down, bad bounce. Punched away by Brennan. In front German, run into a bundle of trouble. Caught again and tackled. Might be penalised. He's not. Held to him was the verdict of the umpire. It'll be bounced.
Umpire Mitchell, who's done a lot of travelling this year. Every second time we've travelled, it seems, he's bobbed up. German takes the backhander from McDonald. Sean Smith from behind Brennan goes the spoil. Turner the scout, back in defence today. Normally a wingman. All Malaxos backing back with courage. Hickey to German. And finds Cracker. James, only 30 metres out directly in front. And this should be North Melbourne's second goal. The Crackers on their homecoming in round 6 really struggled at Subiaco. They're determined to do much better tonight. Couldn't do much worse than they did that day. But Jimmy hasn't exactly made an auspicious start. Second very kickable goal that North Melbourne have wasted. Scores a level.
Jim Cracker seems to have opened up in the forward pocket, not the traditional first rover. Nice kick out there by Jeffrey Miles. Battling for it, Sean Smith. Good tackle that time by Lamb. Back it comes to Lamb. Gets his left foot to it and drives it down centre wing. Right beside the boundary line, eventually over the line. Out of bounds. And it was out of bounds on the full. There's Johnny Law.
Poor kick. Wobbling punt. Hepburn up. High. Lamb. German. Well dispossessed. But the ball crossed the line. So a throw in on North Melbourne's half-forward flank.
North doing well, except when they're kicking at goal. Two easy ones missed, one by John Mossop, one by Jim Cracker. They're in attack, but just in attack. Laurie Keane in front. Nicely taken by Ackley, then his kick was smothered, kicked by Larkin. Out wide it goes, and Chandler boots it down towards full forward. Underneath it, Mossop with Miles. Mainwaring, kick is smothered. Underneath it, Malaxos. Long hand pass to Keane. The big fella's hand pass is no good at all. No good at all. Ross Smith has got the chance. Lamb will get them out of it. Gets it back to Big Keane. He's battling hard, so Smith. And Chandler down again. And Chandler was tackled high and will take the free kick. Umpire Peter Cameron.
German winning a lot of ball early. Sean Smith in front, a focal point up forward. Nicely done to Love. Tried to do a little much, but does it pretty well anyway. Centering for Mossop. Just too far for the tall man. Hart. Pressure from Ackley. Well played, Hart. Very well. Gains 60 metres for his team out of defence. Now Steele. North about to mount the attack again. Smith. Let's go with the big one, but miscues. Good spoil from Bartlett into the crowd. Almost. They thumped it back. A throw in. Forward pocket for North Melbourne.
And Phil Cracker has lined up in the back pocket, playing on Robert Wiley, and of course brother Jim in the forward pocket. So a lot of moves by North Melbourne so far in the game.
5 kicks to German so far, a real influence from midfield. Now a ball up, 30 metres from the Kangaroos' goal. 8 points apiece.
Mossop looks dangerous down there with his height against Miles. It's just a matter of whether Mossop can really get his hands to the ball.
Ackley, wild kick. Equally wild was Miles in mid-flight. Another ball up, so fairly unattractive scrambly stuff close to North Melbourne's goal, 25 metres out. Not a bad crowd at the Wacker, although there are some sparsely populated seating areas, despite the fact that it's such a beautiful night. Of course, over here it's only 6:45 at the moment. The matches are virtually twilight affairs. Gastev beautifully to Anir, who's kicked the Eagles' only goal so far. Oh, bad kick. Might come off. No, it doesn't. Good tackle, Lewis on German. Malaxos. Gastev to a tone now. Lewis, 2 to beat, and does it. Keane, good knock on for Zanotti. And the wild man, forward of centre. Glendinning, yes. No, couldn't hold it. Fairly. With the big job at centre half back. Now Steele, half back flank. Long with the hand pass. Law just behind the wing. Long to half forward now. Spargo versus Turner. Smith for North Melbourne. Just about a throw. Bartlett, Malaxos. Hesitated, and he who hesitates, well, was almost lost. Wiley high and safely to Hart.
And it's time to steady for the West Coast Eagles. They're fiddling around a bit. And no good this one. Short it is, and in comes Ross Smith. Punches away from Gastev. Lost the ball badly. Taken by Chandler. Chandler across it goes to Ackley. Ackley to centre half forward. Underneath it was Jim Cracker. Jim Cracker comes out with it and goes racing away from Turner. Short pass is very clever. And to the big fellow in his second game. And what an influence young Mark Hepburn is having. He's kicked one enormous goal. And he's well within range now, of course. He'll only about 35 metres from goal when he comes in to shoot for what should be North Melbourne's second goal. They've had a couple of wonderful opportunities and lost them. The scoreboard is 1-2 to each side. Hepburn has kicked that one goal for North. The left footer comes in and hooks it a bit, but made it. Well done, and what a wonderful start in his second game, as Kevin told us earlier. In his first kick in league football, he kicked a goal, and he's still 18 years old, so it's a wonderful start tonight.
Well, we see Jimmy Cracker, and we see Ackley on the ball chasing Hart, changing out of the back pocket with Phil Cracker on Robert Wiley. So Jimmy obviously playing a role in that forward pocket, and what lives his role he can play there because he's lightning quick. And young Mark Hepburn already at centre half forward playing on Glenn Bartlett, proving a big headache for the Eagles.
14 minutes gone. And North Melbourne in front by a goal. Kangaroos looking to find their best form after a couple of matches right off the boil. Humbled by Geelong and thrashed by St Kilda last week. They can do much better. Good knock on Hepburn. Rare fumble from German. Now the Kangaroos are toned. Chandler to half forward. Smith! He's a good high flyer, not paid. Penalised for holding the ball. The umpire deeming that the man behind had hands as they contested the mark. And so he didn't rule that it was a two-grabber. Turn of the hand pass to Anir. Big possession winner so far. To the centre line. Lamb brilliantly out jostling a skilled player in Larkin. Beautifully done.
Lamb between centre wing and half forward flank. 15-metre penalty brings him just a bit closer, about 80 metres out from goal. A big leap there by Ackley. Hickey runs underneath it. Law gets it. Boots it back downfield. Sean Smith again. Good leap, but then lost the flight of it. Chandler, very courageous. A high tackle again for his second free kick. In a flash onto Larkin. Larkin steadies and sends it downfield. Underneath it there is Jimmy Cracker, but he's outmarked. And Worsfold, his opponent today, takes a good one. On to Turner it goes. There's two of them there. No, better hurry. That was lost by Brennan. Jim Cracker tumbles over the top of him. Back it comes out wide, and Matthew Larkin steadies and will send it. Oh, clever. Out towards Love. Love, can he get past? Dodges and left foots it down towards the full forward zone. John Mossop from behind, but his opponent in front, and what a huge job Jeff Miles has got. He'll be giving away 6 or 7 inches in height.
Out on the full, apparently the ruling. Miles takes the free. Kicks to half back. Bartlett, the big leaper from behind, has been paid. Had a pretty shaky start. 2 goals kicked against him in the first 16 minutes of the match. Goes to the centre of the ground. And Chandler in front with a bit of shepherding from Law comfortably. Phil Cracker. Oh, slightly awkward for Smith, but does it well. That's Ross Smith as opposed to Sean. Worsfold, who was very good last week, especially in the last quarter, as were just about all of his teammates. Anir looking for the hand pass, but not called play on. Gastev between half-back and centre. Nicely around Jim Cracker, and elects to go long. Glendinning looking to recapture form after a couple of downers. Lewis, good smother fairly. All Eagles though still. Barrich, Gastev, forward of the wing. Short kick. Fairly solid mark in front.
Fairley has the biggest job, I guess, in the side to look after the captain, Ross Glendinning, and doing it well up to date. Downfield they come towards centre wing. Hepburn might have taken a free against Bartlett. Hand pass comes out to Keane, who's doing very well, picking up a nice lot of possessions. Sends it very long. Down towards full forward. Lockyer was the leaper. Lockyer recovers best, will kick a goal. They could have raffled it. And Andrew Lockyer, who was the man who got hands to ball, the big fella recovered in splendid fashion with great agility and picked it up just in point-blank range and rams it through.
And once again, we saw the terrific kicking style and the distance that Laurie Keane can get. That 75-yard goal last week indicated that Keane probably is the longest kick in the competition, and if he can get onto those long bombs and put it in the square, big Lockyer's down there with small men hovering around, it could be a very good tactic by the Eagles.
He can put a great bounce on the ball at the end of that long kick too.
He can weave it in between packs and players, anything. There's John.
Kev, I just got a message that Hepburn, who's played so well, has only played 5 senior games in West Australia, so he's really a rookie, and it's a wonderful debut, if I can call the first and second game have been so promising.
John Kennedy with plenty on his mind. The score's level. Very big match for North. Ensconced in the 5 a couple of weeks back and now under threat. And the Eagles so hard to beat at home, and away they go again. Malaxos to Turner. Gastev. 60 metres from goal. Wiley 50 metres out. Good centering kick. Lockyer comes from behind. Glendinning in front. Now Ackley. Out to halfback. Good kick. Hickey. Gastev again. Copious possessions in the first quarter. Wiley, good knock on. Not quite working out. And a throw in on the Eagles half forward flank.
Robert Wiley certainly anticipated trouble bearing down on him that time. It was a very clever knock over. Here comes Glendinning. There's Wiley again. Out it comes in Hart's there. Was the mark taken? It wasn't long enough. Glendinning hits it out towards the boundary line. David Ackley in possession. Kicks it out wide. And up goes Lamb and took a stunner from McDonald. Picked up by Barrich. Barrich long down towards that full forward zone, and Locke is in front, punched away from him well. Ackley again playing well in the pocket to Ross Smith, and Ross Smith boots a long one to the centre of the ground. Over the back it comes in the hands of Bartlett. You better hurry, Malaxos. Malaxos gets it back to Brennan. His head was nearly pulled off, and he'll take a free kick.
Crowd approving of that one. And Brennan to put the Eagles into attack. Good long probing kick. Glendinning with 2 to beat. Barrich and Law. It's between the wing and the Eagles' half-forward flank. The quarter has been in progress 20 minutes. It hasn't risen to the heights yet. Perhaps we're expecting too much after last week, but scores are level. Couldn't be any closer than that. Ackley to the centre line. Spargo and Turner, and now a throw in. Right on the wing.
Yes, on the outer side of the ground. And the crowd, as yet, haven't found voice. Nicely down towards German. He boots it down to the pocket. Sean Smith being very closely watched there. Out wide it comes, and Big Hepburn, the big tall boy's got a chance again. But behind the play there was something going on. And James Cracker, the man who's shadowing him, and Jim is not appreciating same, and Worsfeld will take the free kick. Worsfeld's proved himself. He's only a teenager, but a very good shadower. Nice pick up by Gastev, who's getting a bundle of possessions. This one is smothered. Down it comes towards that full forward zone. Running out towards it is Miles, but the ball will beat him over the line out of bounds.
And Mossop now has gone into the ruck, and McDonald has gone down to full forward. So obviously John Kennedy changing his ruckman in that key forward post.
Bartlett a good knock, but well sharked Jimmy Cracker. Brilliant work. It's a great goal. Yes, it is. Stroke of genius from the aforementioned James Cracker. And he puts North Melbourne back in front by a goal at the 21.5-minute mark.
Well, the tactics of John Kennedy have worked well in this first quarter, with Jimmy Cracker just playing in that forward pocket. And of course, brother Phil and Ackley changing on the ball out of the back pocket. And we can just look at the way he bounces to his feet, Jimmy Cracker. He's very, very hard to unsettle. He rides bumps. He's really a lightweight, but very rarely is he decked heavily. He can just has that very unusual knack of being able to just ride a bump, and he gets to his feet very quickly, and he's just a fabulous player.
Keane gets it down. Ackley in the centre of the ground kicks it straight up in the air. Mossop up high, punched away by Bartlett. In the run, Steele. Good pace. Oh, free kick against him. And that was very well done against Darren Steele, Johnny Anea. He didn't have front position, but he made pace and got there and then took the free kick. Anea, who doesn't kick far, this is very short. Very bad, actually. Mossop did his best to drop it, but takes it centre half back.
Goes to the centre of the ground. Donald McDonald's down at full forward now, and Zanotti is in the way. Chip is a good one. Keane's been on the ball non-stop so far, and isn't his tail up? Bad kick, though. Overconfident, perhaps. Still a chance. Barrich from 40 metres. No words required. Third goal to the Eagles, and scores level at the 23-minute mark.
And the second goal to come from Laurie Keane, bursting out of the centre. Not such a good kick. And Hickey there getting a very bad bounce. He's picking up Barrich, and all he can do there is watch Barrich extricate himself around North Melbourne players and kick a goal. Last week he really struggled, Barrich, and was taken off in the first half playing on Di Domenico. But we have seen Barrich to be a pretty good competitor playing for the Eagles.
That's his 7th goal for the season. He'll be pleased with that. Downfield from Larkin. Over the back it goes Jim Cracker. Electrifying pace and a very good juggling mark. Goes back and drives it out wide. Down looking for McDonald. Over the back there's Miles. Leading into the race is Mainwaring. And Mainwaring can do nothing else but carry over the line out of bounds or carry it through for one behind. There's Chris Mainwaring, who's been one of the finds of the season.
And the behind enough to put the Kangaroos in front. Approaching the 24-minute mark. Mossop spoiling Keane. Ackley well tackled by Hart. Mossop kicking in a hurry and well. North with the numbers, but the bounce favouring Bartlett. Not too confident there, just putting it out in front of himself. Chandler nicely to Hepburn. Steady looking kick. Jim Cracker under pressure though. Well played, Miles. Good hip and shoulder on German, who looked dangerous. Free kick to the Eagles, and Miles wins it.
Yes, it was all courage in the Eagles' defence then. They really threw themselves on the ball and threw themselves into position. Ania now drives downfield to Malaxos. Malaxos away from Ackley. Malaxos downfield looking for Chris Lewis. Chris Lewis and John Law won with the tap down. Picked up nicely by Hart, who's got speed. Hart then steadies and sends it as long as he can in the Robert Wiley direction. Wiley gives a little push. It's punched away nicely by big Steve McCann from the side, and it's through for one behind.
Wiley would have been wiser to stay down then and let Big Lockyer go for that.
The behind struggle. Scores level once more as we tick into time on. Well done, Mossop. But Malaxos is the scout at the back on the centre line, so it was a long kick in and knock on. To half forward, Glendinning, always smothered by Fairley so far. Ania, Hart, Lewis. 55 metres out, kickable for him, and there'll be 15 metres if the man on the mark doesn't watch it, John Law. He was very tardy coming back. Now, let's watch Lewis unload. Oh, it's a mighty kick. Offline. And the Eagles edge to the front by 1 point with their fourth behind.
Just ticking into time on period. And here comes Stephen McCann, who came across from West Australia but only played in junior competitions, went to North Melbourne, straight into a grand final side. Oh, a wonderful leap by Law. Really strong mark by John Law from a strong player. Full of G and D as this one. Law down towards centre wing, looking for Hepburn. They got a lot of confidence in him. He almost took a good one, slipped away from him. Oh, look out, Spargo. Wild tackle by Bartlett, and in evading same, Spargo went over the line, so it'll be thrown in.
Won't be a long quarter. Maybe 2.5 minutes left. And a goal would be handy either way. Main Waring, beautifully done. Loads of confidence. All ran a long way and penalised. Just couldn't decide when to kick the ball. Kept on looking for targets, and in doing so, overran. And German takes the free kick forward of the centre, just to put the Kangaroos deep into attack. Goes long and hopes somebody might pull down a big one. McDonald's there, didn't look like it. Jimmy Cracker, Larkin. Misses, bad kick. Really should have made the most of Jimmy Cracker's great setup. And scores level once more.
Well, that's roving at its best, Tim. You've got to be born with that type of skill as Jimmy Cracker. He just timed his run perfectly for the ball to hit the hands of the pack and to come off. A lot of rovers and players tend to get to the pack too early, and therefore they've got a prop, but he just timed that magnificently.
Hart and Ackley battle for that one. Fighting for it was Turner. In comes Ania for another one, dodges perfectly. Fine hand pass to Wiley. Wiley hooks it back towards centre wing position where Gasteff's in front. Ross Smith spoils him very well. Zanotti and Malaxos are both there. Malaxos short downfield. Lewis very clever but too clever. Yes, it gets out to Malaxos. On to Ania. Ania then shoots for goal. Locke is in good position. Almost took a good one. A one-hander. He's very slow. McCann took it away from him and is booted out of danger by Larkin. Larkin out towards centre wing and tumbling over the line there. Mainwaring, and he's going to be penalised. And Chris Mainwaring is getting quite a surprise from his young opponent, Chandler.
Crowd not happy, feeling it was a push in the side. Touch and go. Umpire Cameron was the man in best position. Chandler to half forward. Bartlett has it taken away. Hepburn well smothered by Wiley. Still a chance for North. Phil Cracker. He is tagging Wiley. Jimmy drew two to him but had no one to go to. Bartlett keen. Zanotti. Always exciting. Always looks dangerous for his own team. Ball just bouncing inside. Throw in on the Eagles half-forward flank.
He's got a great habit, Zanotti. He takes one step and bounces the ball instead of putting it under his arm and really running his full 15 metres. And he'd get far better balance that way. And we can see from his kick then that straight over the head and out of bounds.
Arms and legs always look to be pumping in different directions from Mark Zanotti, but he's exciting. Here's German. Little Gasteff and Mainwaring's the leaper. Ducked his head and still took a spectacular. He's been a great mark throughout the season. And there's quarter time, and it's a fine, close quarter. Couldn't be better. The Eagles are 3-4, and North Melbourne 3-4, that's 22 points each.
3 single goal kickers to the Eagles, Anir, Barrich and Lockyer. And for North Melbourne, Hepburn kicked their first 2. Jim Cracker kicked a third. As Doug said, all tied up at quarter time at 3-4 apiece.
I suppose when we think of John Mossop playing at full forward, we go back to the final when Geelong played Collingwood, and John Mossop, Billy Goggin pulled the move of lining him up at full forward, and he booted 7 goals in that game. But at the moment he's in the ruck for the start of the second quarter.
Yes, Stephen Reynoldson was centre half forward, Mossop full forward for Geelong, and now both playing with other clubs. Law for North Melbourne, the first kick of the quarter, and Spargo, a very good mark in front of Turner, but still on the centre line. Not a breath of wind. A superb night. Kicks to half forward. McDonald, the fist. Jim Cracker. Back to Phil. Good pass to Larkin. All played on riskily. Might come off. Love. It doesn't come off. Sprays the kick. Still might come off. McDonald. Chandler high with the snap. It's a good effort. Not quite good enough. North get the first score after 50 seconds and lead by 1 point.
What a terrible, careless kick of Jason Love's that time. They almost got out of it, luckily, when the bounce favoured Donald McDonald. Chris Mainwaring looks for Keane, of course, and Mossop is wearing him like a glove. Keane won it beautifully. Well, when you're 202 centimetres, it helps, but when you've got skill as well, it's a pretty awesome opponent. And there he goes. Not really one of the big ones after that big rap we've all given him. Hand goes back towards centre wing now. It'll bounce over the line. Well played fairly. Nicely across to Ross Smith, the tough and rugged defender. He gets it back towards Hickey. Back to centre wing it goes Johnny Mossop and Keane. And Keane takes another one. Is the hand pass good? It is.
Malaxos from just behind the centre towards Lewis. Well played, Phil Cracker. And gets a free kick for being interfered with over the shoulder. 15 metres to boot. Brings him up towards the centre. Mossop just off the cricket pitch square. Jim Cracker. North advance through Hepburn. Worsfold, Brennan it was, dispossessed. Still a chance for North. Jim Cracker, good hand pass this. Big chance North. Smith to Love, second chance for Love. And no mistake that time. Right between those major uprights for North Melbourne's fourth goal. The Kangas doing all the attacking in the first 2.5 minutes of the second term, and they lead by 7 points.
Well, that's a good start for North Melbourne because, as I said, at quarter time, they certainly had the play in that first quarter, and Jimmy Cracker once more playing a very good game, just roving around the forward line, able to get that ball out to Jason Love.
It's extraordinary change they've had in tactics, Kev. Last time we saw them play, Worsfold kept Phil Cracker right out of the game, and they've given him the job of Jim Cracker tonight, and it's not working out quite so well.
Would have been difficult with Phil lining up in the back pocket, Doug.
Yeah, maybe that was the reason done so. And here they go once again. Steady does Smith and then drives it out, and it's James Cracker's the target. Look at the leap from the little fellow. This time Worsfold gets the bounce of it, then steadies and kicks it to Lamb, which is well done. Lamb is tackled by Hickey, and we penalise 15 metres. Play goes on, however. Hickey looks for Keane, and Keane takes another one. And the big fellow's off. Holds it in one hand, swivels onto his left foot, and kicks it very well. But it was an awkward one for big fella Lockyer, and it's misjudged, and Steve McCann's the man who goes running into the fence and loses the ball, and he was pushed in the meantime, and I think he won't take it for it.
Well, the transformation in Laurie Keane is quite remarkable. He's taken about 5 marks tonight overhead, and we were seeing him drop 5 for every one he held in matches prior to this. The difference is that priceless commodity, confidence, as Law kicks to half forward, to half back. And the Roos gain further meterage to the centre. Spargo shepherds beautifully for German. Good tackle, Gastev. Sean Smith and Brennan. Smith wins. Wide out on half forward flank. Ross Smith just taking it at grass top level. 70 metres from goal. Kicks quickly. Phil Cracker, almost. Big one from Miles was wild. Larkin, beautifully done. Great hand pass to Cracker, and Phil pops it through. And the Kangaroos have kicked 2 goals in 4 minutes and skipped to a 13-point lead.
Well, Phil Cracker coming down from the back pocket, playing out of that back pocket with David Ackley. And Ross Smith, who played a very, very good opening quarter, already in the thick of things in this second quarter. And we see there, he nearly took the mark there, Phil. And that wild kick off the ground by Miles. And there's Matthew Larkin, who is having a great duel also with Lamb, getting it out quickly too, Phil. And beautifully the way he just kicked that low trajectory kick.
And into attack they go once again. And here he comes. Steadies does Phil, gives it to brother Jim, and Jim runs into a lot of trouble. Gives Turner the chance to boot it bound towards centre wing. Streaming out towards it now. The chance is there for Barrich. Turns and twists and's in real trouble. Did it pretty well. Over Ackley it goes. Awkward one for Rob Wiley. Over the back wasn't good enough, Robert. It's too far towards the boundary line. Glendinning and Lamb are fighting for it. Lamb keeps the ball in play pretty well, but it's all North Melbourne now as it's booted downfield and right on the boundary line. Well played, Larkin. Slips away from the opposition. Drives it down with a perfect pass. Spargo then shoots it long and shoots it very, very much off direction, and that was a bad one. It's out of bounds.
North starting to look good though. The Crackers are firing. Larkin starting to look good in this quarter. And the Eagles have got a big task in front of them. Wiley shadowed out of it perhaps by Phil Cracker. Feather in the cap of the North Melbourne number 8. Miles long to the centre of the ground. Lamb, good knock on. Anir running onto it for the Eagles. Fine tackle steal from behind. Glendinning now. But he's been kickless so far. Well held by Ian Fairley. Every time he's gone near it, if it's not Fairley, it's another man in blue and white wearing him like the proverbial glove.
Yes, the captain is being shadowed. He only had 4 possessions in 3 quarters last week, but then swung the match in the last quarter with a couple of goals. There's Ackley crawling after it or falling after it. The umpire's whistle blows indicating a push. And Steele has got blood coming from the eye. What a fine season Steele has had too. Out it comes. Bartlett. Oh, great leap there by Brennan. Anir better be quick. It was smothered brilliantly by Steele. In comes German. German hooks it back down towards Spargo. He's in lots of trouble but does it well. Does it very well. McDonald ran through the little rover. From 40 metres out he'll shoot for goal, and Donald McDonald centres it. Well, he looks good when he runs. When he really goes, this firebrand can look so good. When he's hot, and when he's not, he's not.
Fight on. This is live action. Spargo was having words after he disposed of the ball in towards centre half forward. He didn't respond straight away for fear, I think, of giving away a free kick when North were bursting goalward, which is quite intelligent. Once they got the goal, he started the fight.
Well, it is intelligent. There's the strong arm tactics of Donald McDonald. And there's a big fight on now. There's trainers and everything in there trying to separate players, and a couple of wild blows thrown by both sides then.
A couple of North Melbourne trainers subduing Jimmy Cracker, which is fairly smart. The Kangaroos oughtn't get into fights at the moment. They are right on top. They've really dominated this second quarter, which has been in progress almost 8 minutes. They've got to a 19-point lead. If they keep playing footy like this...
Look at Turner with Peter Cameron.
Pete's had a bit of trouble talking to players lately.
Pete's telling him if he doesn't watch out, he won't get any more free kicks.
Nose-to-nose confrontation, Peter Cameron. One of the very colourful umpires.
Wonder what he called him.
Sir.
How do you spell that one?
Or so-and-so.
I'll see you are. Well, there's plenty of action here.
8 minutes in, just beyond the 8-minute mark. And the Kangaroos by 3 goals plus. McDonald, who kicked the last goal, beaten by opposite number 25. But Hickey, well done, gains 30 metres. Love, Gastev and Zanotti. Zanotti to Gastev. Good tackle, Ross Smith, one of the iron tacklers in the game. Hepburn. Sean Smith, now German, fights on again. Well, and the ball's only 10 metres away, but they don't want to know about it. McDonald to full forward, Mossop and Miles. And Cracker Jim. It is a push in the back. Free kick to Jim Cracker.
Well, that's definitely in the back. It's no good booing. You just can't tackle a player like this, and we see Turner there just ride him into the ground. And once again, it was those lightning skills, able to read the ball off the pack, to accelerate as the ball hits the pack, and to be taking it at full pace.
That's his second, and the Kangaroos lead by 25 points. 9.5 minutes into the second quarter.
Well, he's really been the dominant player in the field, Kev, hasn't he?
He's just been outstanding, Doug, and John Kennedy, I feel, has really taken the West Coast Eagles by surprise by playing Jimmy Cracker in that forward pocket. We've seen Worsfold do good jobs tagging, and now we see Turner there riding Jimmy into the ground. Worsfold playing on Jimmy Cracker in that first quarter. Now they've moved Dean Turner across, so already Ron Alexander is very worried about the magic skills of Jimmy Cracker.
Yes, magic's the right word. It took about 2 matches when those Crackers came to Melbourne to see the Cracker magic. 101st game for Jim Cracker tonight. 102nd. Yeah, 101st tonight, sorry. Here's a chance now, and lost. And Phil Cracker then boots him into attack out wide. And here comes Jim Cracker racing for it. Awkward one for him. High in there does he go. Zanotti gets it. Very bad one. Nice play by the big fellow then, Hepburn. Chance for Ackley fighting 2-1. Goes down, and the free kick is against him. And the crowd absolutely love it, because they're completely and hopelessly biased. It's picked up by Bartlett. Bartlett goes galloping off. Don't like the look of it. Malaxos out to Gastev. Gastev down towards the pocket. In front is Chris Lewis. 2-1 against him. The defence stands rock solid, and it's punched over the line out of bounds.
The Eagles' first true visit into attack in this quarter, which has been in progress now 11 minutes. They trail by 25 points. Gastev, a nice hand pass. Hurried kick from Hart to Anir, who looks for the 15-metre penalty and doesn't get it, but he's within kicking distance, only 30 metres out. Very acute angle, obviously, as he's virtually on the boundary line. Kicked the Eagles' first goal of the first quarter, and they're hoping he'll kick their first of the second, but he doesn't. And they trail by 24 points and are in trouble.
And despite all their crying, we've got some information about free kicks for the season. Statistical information, which is, I guess, a little bit of interest. But the West Coast Eagles are 3rd in the league with 580, and North Melbourne down in 12th position. Free kick given. Here comes Chris Mainwaring, very quick to Zanotti. Zanotti short and very effective, and the mark is taken by Hart. He's a long way out from goal. Kicks it long and high. Steve McCann's underneath it. Goes for the big leap and punches it away very well. In front, Gastev been a busy one. Out it goes to McNish. And McNish, who is not a good kick for goal, we've seen him spray them many times throughout the season, hits the behind post, so it's out of bounds.
First kick to McNish off the interchange bench to replace Wiley. Almost halfway through this quarter. The Kangaroos have kicked 4 goals in the term. The Eagles haven't really looked like kicking one, but they're in attack at the moment, and they've spent about 3 or 4 minutes attacking. North so far well on the way to avenging that result back in early May, when they were trounced by the Eagles at Subiaco. Really humiliated that day. McNish well tackled by Larkin and penalised for holding the ball. Strong work by the champion young ruck rover for North Melbourne. And finds McDonald, who's looking good in this second quarter, has kicked 1 goal and set 1 up.
Very lively, vigorous, great competitor is Donald McDonald. Down towards Hepburn. Hepburn from behind. Zanotti goes running in, but there's Law. Goes to Lewis, back on half-back flank at this stage. Lewis is always very calm and steady. Maybe took a bit too long. He is taking a lot of time now. He's got nobody to kick it to. He's puts his arms aside and he'll say, where's someone to give it to? He has Chris Wayne Merring a big leap, and he should have timed that one better. He's the only one who went. Out it comes, and Brennan's in lots of trouble. Picked up again by Chandler. Chandler downfield, and Lewis does the spoil well. Then it's taken away from him by Hepburn. Is it doing it, or it is Hepburn? And he's going to take a free kick. He was tackled when not in possession, and Mark Hepburn is playing some splendid football.
Of course, at North Melbourne, they've only got one number 34 jumper. Kev, Ross Henshaw used to wear it with the sleeves in it, and they've passed it on.
Still got the mud on it from the 77 grand final.
And stay with us at half-time for the
Look at that
closing
kick.
stages of the draw. Mighty kick from Hepburn. Mossop there. Where are the scouts? Sean Smith kicks if he can get out of there. Chest to chest. What's he kicked? Suspense is killing me. A behind.
Well, how's Peter Cameron standing up nose to nose with the goal umpire? He's confrontation personified. Out to Keane, just enough. Oh, silly, Donald.
He's got him.
He was off, yes, and he's penalised. No, he's not.
Should have been.
There's a 15-metre penalty given before that because of McDonald's late tackle, and I think that's probably correct in the book. Now, Keane, give it all you've got. That's a magnificent kick. Nobody at home. They spoil each other to North. Malaxos out to Turner. Turner across to Glendinning. Glendinning for his first kick, and David Ackley's in front position. A nice leap over the back by Hart. John Anea, left foot kick. He does it. His second goal. And that was done under pressure very well because the defenders were swarming over the top of him, or one defender was, and Anea got foot the ball very quickly.
Well, John Kennedy would be very disappointed with Peter German because he flew right over the top of Hickey, and he was in a position to call Hickey into the ball because Hickey couldn't see him behind, and the ball spilt to the ground and quickly rushed forward. And of course John Anea then would steal right on his hammer, kicking his second goal. But bad play by Peter German in spoiling his teammate.
Actually,
John Anea's already had 9 kicks. He's had 5 handballs, so he's one of the few good players for the Eagles so far in this game.
He has played 126 games, in fact. Russell Cox, the Eagles manager, was pointing out to me that that statistic of 120 before tonight is incorrect. Lewis, Keane now. Yet another mark, and that must be a good half dozen. We'll check on that. Goes the big thumper. Lock your front position. Good scouting, McNish. Can he kick straight this time? Yes, he can. No, he can't. Sorry, folks. And the margin still 3 goals in North's favour.
Steve McCann, short lead from Phil Cracker especially. That left foot never misses. Stephen McCann, who kicks well with both feet, kicks it very long to centre wing position. Zanotti's hands stretched there from the back, couldn't hold it. Lewis runs over the line with the ball, it's out of bounds. And just on that statistics I was talking earlier, the team that's had the most free kicks for the season is Carlton. Here comes Carlton.
Laurie Keane, 9 kicks, 7 marks, 4 handballs, 13 hit-outs. He won't contest here. That's been kicked out of bounds on the full. So a free kick to North Melbourne. 17 minutes into the second term. The Kangaroos with an onslaught early. Kick to a 25-point lead. The Eagles back now to within 18 as Steele kicks to the wing. Hepburn in front. German. It was a free kick, not a mark to Hepburn. German to full forward. Mossop couldn't quite get there. Sean Smith. Brennan Malaxos. Good hand pass. Anea. Big possession winner. Lamb. Between half-back and centre. Great hand pass to the running Mainwaring. To centre half forward. Nothing there for the Eagles. McCann. Phil Cracker. No one to go to. Goes close to the line. Crowd will call for a deliberate, with the umpire having none. And a throw in on the Eagles half-forward flank.
There's a clear indication then of the amazing acceleration of Phil Cracker as he ran away from his opponent. McNish gets the perfect pass. Out it goes towards full forward, and in comes Roscoe and takes a fine mark, his first mark of the night. Understandably and rightly, this fellow is really the favourite of the West Australian crowd. And of course there was a period when he was the favourite of the North Melbourne crowd too, because he won a couple of best and fairest and was second twice, and that's how he can kick. He doesn't miss many, does Ross Glendinning, and puts it straight through the centre. And Glendinning for the season has kicked 33 goals.
Well, McNish has been a pretty handy player in the last 10 minutes after replacing Robert Wiley. And Ross Glendinning, we saw last week out of the game completely for 3 quarters and then kicking 2 valuable goals. And he's never beaten. He's now gone down to full forward. And Ian Feely, of course, who's done a marvellous job on him so far, is right beside him. But Bronx cheers before of Ross Glendinning when he's had his first kick for the match, which was pretty poor by the WA supporters.
Centre square infringement. Mossop, Hepburn in front. Jim Cracker. The Eagles off the hook. Here goes Keane again. Oh, the racehorse, the nimble-footed one. Kicks long. Again, 2 North players spoil each other. This time they're lucky. Phil Cracker. Chandler now, out to the wing. Bad kick, North becoming sloppy. Zanotti. Ackley brought down. Bad tackle by Mainwaring. North's free, now advantage. Love to half forward. Nothing there though for the Kangas. Spargo tries to make something of it. Well tackled by Lewis. Throw in towards North's forward pocket, about 35 metres from goal.
Lewis, who kicked 4 goals last week, is on half-back flank, which he spent a couple of matches there. I always like to see him on the forward line. What a good punch down that is, and here's an opportunity for Brennan. Brennan is content to punch the ball over the line. Good defensive football by Michael Brennan. And Laurie Keane and John Mossop steady to contest once again. Mossop gets a fine front position. Did it nicely too. Chandler fights for it. So does Ackley. Love was there most of the time too. Worsfeld on top. And underneath it all, 202 centimetres of Lawrence Keane.
The Eagles back in the hunt. Crossing the 20-minute mark. Just 2 goals in it. Mossop over Keane. Law up in attack. Gastev, good spoil though by McDonald. Still pressure on the Eagles' defence. Gastev, oh, a shocking kick. And well within range, he just gives the ball away, and McDonald, I think it is, who's going to line them up. No, he's had to give it away. And the free kick,
Ross Smith,
to be taken by Smith up from defence. 30 metres out on the angle. Important kick for North. They could do with a goal. They made the early running in the quarter, but the Eagles have picked up. Good kick. It's a beauty if he's dobbed it. Just missed. North lead by 13 points.
We saw Ross Smith in Brisbane kick one of the really long goals of the season. They've become a very accomplished and tough player. Out to Lamb and Larkin. This will be a wonderful contest between super players. Lamb leading. Larkin contests with him. Lamb gets it down a bit further. Goes again. German comes in to take him on, and he's bustled over the line out of bounds. And did pretty well, did Wayne Lamb that time, to thwart the efforts of 2 great North Melbourne players.
Keane winning in the ruck, 2-1 against Mossop and McDonald. Mossop wins this one. High kick by German. Gastev under it.
He's played a great game, Ross Smith.
He certainly has. Now Larkin quickly on. And a big chance for Love from the boundary line. And the Kangaroos missing the target again from out on that flank. Second behind in about 90 seconds. They lead by 14 points.
Yes, it's 15 scoring shots to 11, and that's a true indication of North Melbourne superiority. Out looking for Bartlett. Bartlett over the back, it went from his outstretched fingers. Coming through strongly. Nice play by Hickey. Out to Jim Cracker is danger. Back it comes to Ackley. Ackley then hooks it back to full forward zone. Underneath it, McDonald almost did it. To the ground goes Worsfold, cleverly to Hart. Hart gives it out to Lamb. And Lamb will set up an attack. He's a superb hand passer to Zanotti. Ross Smith will gather him in. Zanotti kicks it downfield. Steve McCann's in front and doesn't take it. Chance for Phil Cracker, doing a wonderful job rolling across that half-back line, and the ball is put over the line out of bounds.
Kangaroos only becoming a force in VFL football in the 70s. Brief flourish in the 50s, of course, when they played in their first ever grand final. They've lost plenty more than they've won. Mossop putting them into attack, but Gastev, who's had a million possessions, kicks back whence it came. McCann, Phil Cracker again from half-back. German, wide out on the wing. 23 and a half minutes gone, and German slow to rid himself of the ball. Finally kicks to half-forward. Hepburn springs. Invented that one last week when he took a big mark. German kicks beyond half forward. Nothing there for North. Too easy that time for Miles, but Jim Cracker swoops and misses. 15-point lead to North. And the quarter running in cycles. North on top early, then the Eagles having 7 or 8 minutes of glory. Now North with more of the possession.
Out to Malaxos, and a wonderful kick it was too from Miles. Malaxos looking for Mainwaring. And that was a splendid kick. He disposed of it. He was caught. He's caught a very good tackle by Chandler again, and Chandler doing a brilliant job against Mainwaring. Up goes Gastev far too early. In front, Malaxos steadies. He kicks the ball well. Looks for Glendinning again. Glendinning behind. He recovers well. Can he get a good bounce? He can't. And he's pushed to the ground. He's pushed to the ground when Fairley was breaking away, and that's the first blot on the family escutcheon of Philip Cracker. And Glendinning takes the free kick. He kicked one. He's very close in on a slight angle and an urgently needed goal. And he supplies it, as he so often does with Ross Glendinning. That brings North Melbourne, the Eagles up to 6-6 and North Melbourne to 7-9.
Well, you can keep Ross Glendinning out of the game for so long, but he's kicked 2 goals now in this quarter after being kickless in the first quarter, and really only had his first kick for the match halfway through this second quarter. But North Melbourne have continued to waste chances. They've had 10 scoring shots this quarter to the Eagles 5, yet there's only 9 points the difference, and that's after missing 3 easy goals in that opening quarter. So I still feel they've been the better side, but they've certainly wasted their opportunities.
In time on now. 4 goals to 3 in North's favour. They started the quarter at 3 goals, 4 apiece. Strong play, Chandler. And these North newcomers certainly know how to have a go. McNish, though, for the Eagles. Glendinning again. Good spoil by Fairley. Hickey, well done off the ground. Larkin now. Oh, he's quick. Look at the pass to McDonald. That was brilliant. And McDonald, who might be a bit annoyed when he hears us say that Laurie Keane's just about the longest kick in the game, because he can kick the ball fairly lengthy distances himself, is only 40 metres out directly in front.
You can't play much better than that, can you?
That was a tremendous passage of play. And people talk about the stab kick. When you can kick a drop punt like that, why take the risk?
The Scotsman kicks from 45. Distance no problem. Accuracy there too. And the Kangaroos reply. And a very timely reply too. And stretch the lead once more to 15 points at the 27-minute mark.
There's the acceleration there of Matthew Larkin, and to bounce the ball and then go away from your opponent, you've got to have quite a bit of speed up, because it does slow you down when you bounce the ball. And look at that, hit him on the chest, lace out, no bruising then to Donald McDonald. 2 goals this quarter, and he's been a very good player, resting at full forward and playing in the ruck.
And Larkin must be one of the potential Brownlow medalists. Well played, Mossop. Hepburn ditto, runs into a lot of trouble, pushes it out in front of himself, and did it nicely out to a half-forward flank where an awkward bounce for Spargo. But Sean Smith well out to Chandler, who's been a wonderful player in his first match. Running with the flight of the ball, it was almost a good one that time, but missed just at the last moment by McDonald, and it slipped through his outstretched fingers over the line, out of bounds.
8 goals kicked in the quarter. 5 to North, 3 to the Eagles. McDonald having a pretty fair night. Ball up. 25 metres out from North's goal. And in the last minute or so before the half-time siren, a goal would be very handy. 15-point lead could become 21, and that would be a nice break at halfway. The Eagles stem the thrust for the moment. Not for long. Fairly up from half-back. Larkin now, forward of the centre. Well-placed kick for Clarkson. Love, rather. Well done. Got himself into trouble. Gets out of it. Sean Smith. Misses. In fact, puts it out on the full. Lockyer's mark or free kick. Take your pick.
Looks for Zanotti with a very well-directed kick and a beaut bounce. Zanotti then puts it short down towards Hart. Oh, isn't he in trouble? He got pushed over. Barrich it was. Oh, that should have been a free kick. Zanotti hits it out wide. McNish picks up. He's pushed with a good tackle. Missed by Fairley, and near in lots of trouble. Strong play, Steele. Ran into his own teammate. Barrich pushed him at the last moment, and the free kick, to the annoyance of the stand, will go to North Melbourne.
I don't think the West Australian crowd believe that the opposition should get a free kick.
Well, when Glendinning got that one for a push in the back in front of goal a moment ago, there was almost a standing ovation. Steele kicks to the wing. Lewis. Lockyer up the ground. Now near. to centre half forward, Glendinning and Keane. Keane, you can't get out of that one. Free kick to Ross Smith against Keane, who's done plenty tonight, but sometimes tried to do a little bit too much. And Ross Smith has the ball brought back to him for a second go.
There's few people tackle as effectively as Ross Smith, and that was another good one. But it went far too early. Worsfeld almost took it. Law behind the pack, looks like a rover. Then left-footed very cleverly to German. Gee, that was a good kick. German, his opponent, is on the 50-metre mark. Short pass to McDonald. McDonald marks. Well, in full flight, the smaller brigade in this side are as good as any in the league. The Cracker brothers, of course, and Larkin don't need any mention that Phil German is also a wonderful getter of the ball and a perfect disposer of so.
30 minutes gone, so I would imagine this would be the last scoring shot of the quarter. And a very vital kick.
And he's kicked 2 in this quarter, is Donald McDonald. So it's a tremendous quarter for him. He's in the past shown a great aptitude to kick goals, but just in fits and starts or bursts. Oh, what a nice kick. What a wonderful kick. And he really says, thank you, Phil German. He ran across to him, and there he is. A very enthusiastic soul is Donald McDonald.
Well, once again, I think John Kennedy started off McDonald in the ruck to liven him up. And I've seen Donald McDonald one day out at Princes Park boot 8 goals for North Melbourne against Carlton. And I think he's been down in recent weeks, and throw him into the ruck has really lifted and given him a bit of confidence rather than be in a key position early in the game. And 3 goals in this particular quarter. He's been really an outstanding player.
So North regaining that 21-point advantage. Steele puts them into attack. Quarter a bit longer than I expected. Hepburn, who's fought very well for the ball, and North mounting the attack as the half-time siren blasts. A very good quarter for them as they kick 6 goals 5 to the Eagles 3-2. And from being line ball at quarter time, the Kangaroos are 21-point half-time leaders. McDonald has 3 goals, all in that quarter. 2 each to Hepburn and Jim Cracker, with singles to Phil Cracker and Love. For the Eagles, 2 each to Anea and Glendinning, 1 each to Barrich and Lockyer. And at half-time at the WACA ground, North Melbourne 9-9-63, leading the West Coast Eagles 6-6-42. So far.
Well, it hasn't been one of the classic games, but North Melbourne to me have been the better side right from the opening bounce, but some poor kicking and several bad misses really put North Melbourne behind the 8 board as far as the scoreboard was concerned. In that particular quarter they had 11 scoring shots to 5, but all over the ground North Melbourne have had by far the better players, and German in the centre has been a very, very good player. He's had the better of Malaxos. Jimmy Cracker has been absolutely lightning quick down in that forward pocket area. He's created a number of opportunities. And one player, young Jeff Chandler, playing on the centre wing, playing on Chris Mainwaring in his debut. He's been absolutely fantastic. For a kid playing his first game of league football, playing on someone of the status and an interstate star in Mainwaring, he's done very, very well. For the Eagles, well, Laurie Keane's continued his great form on from last week. I feel he's been easily their best player. In the ruck, he's had to take on Mossop and McDonald, but of course McDonald has done well when resting at full forward, booting 3 goals for North Melbourne. But Laurie Keane's done well, and John Anea also has been a lively ruck rover for the Eagles. Lamb's battled, as has Gastev and Hart, but really when you look through the side, Fairley did very, very well playing on Ross Glendinning. Ross Glendinning, of course, booted 2 goals in that quarter, but up until that stage, Ian Fairley had been well on top.
So the second half gets underway with North Melbourne 21-point leaders, and the makings of a big upset here. The Eagles coming off that great victory last Sunday, and North Melbourne off 2 terrible losses. Lamb kicks to the centre of the ground. Bounce for Turner and Lewis. Well done, Lewis. Cops a high one. Elects to run on. Would have got a free kick had he chosen. Glendinning looking for a free and gets it. Umpire Mitchell says that he was held by the arm. And Captain Courageous, who kicked 2 goals in the second quarter, with the chance to make a great start to the third. I was about to call him Mr. Perfection, and he blotted his copybook badly. That was a shocking kick. And the Eagles, instead of beginning the quarter in a blaze of glory, begin with a disappointment.
And Fairley is to be commended And the wonderful job he's done against Glendinning. He kicks out wide, looking for McCann. McCann big and strong. Smith has been a wonderful defender, kicks it off the ground. German comes in with Malaxos. Malaxos got there first. This gives the chance to Gastev. Gastev out wide and McNish is in position, gets an unlucky bounce. Wiley runs past it too. Phil Cracker's in possession, loses it, taken away from him. And a hand pass is a shocker. McNish gets them out of it, gets past German, and a good tackle by Hickey. He took far too long. German's caught as well. The umpire's letting it go. In comes Larkin. There's Lockyer, and eventually the whistle blows. And if ever there was a belated whistle, that was one. And the free kick is going to Rob Wiley. For what? I know not what. Kicks it long downfield, looking for Chris Lewis. Oh, we almost took a good one-hander. 2-1 against him, kicked off the ground by Law.
And the Kangaroos not out of trouble yet. A great smother by Gastev. Now they'll get out of trouble. Phil Cracker goes for Spargo and finds him on the wing. And he beats off Worsfold. No one to kick to. Hepburn running onto it could be the danger. Pressure from Bartlett and from Brennan. And now a throw in North Melbourne's forward pocket. And Douglas, I've got to ask you, how can you justify this? Criticising the umpires for letting it go and then saying a free kick was awarded for you know not what?
Only because I couldn't see it.
Fair enough.
like so many other things. There's Hepburn, who's done so well in front of Bartlett. Good punch over the back and out of bounds it goes. Incidentally, Mossop has got quite a few centre bounces. We mustn't overrate that man in picture, Laurie Keane, too much. He's done some wonderful things in general play, but Mossop has won quite a few of those centre bounces and won them pretty well. Hepburn against Keane again. German, who's been the top position getter on the ground, runs over the line with the balls, and Otti beside him. Yet another throw.
What a dasher. Not just the way he runs with the ball either. Really looks the part. Bartlett, the left-hander. Smith looking for the free there. Jimmy Cracker might have lost his boot. There's one lying on the ground. Hepburn to Sean Smith. And the left foot snap is good. And the Kangaroos get the first goal of the quarter. Just what the Eagles didn't want after they wasted an opportunity at the other end of the ground. And 69 plays 43.
And have a look at Jimmy Cracker here. He bounces off people, Jimmy. We just missed him. He had the ball and he crashed into the opponents and just bounced off. He's like a rubber ball. And Jimmy once again setting up that goal, and Sean Smith playing on the forward line, kicking his first goal for the match.
And again, Hepburn involved. Just an 18-year-older. 19, I think, at the end of this month, but a wonderful buy. I think he cost about 75,000 in transfer fee, but he's almost paying it tonight. Gastev out wide. Barrage a long one out to centre wing. Malaxos back to Barrage. Barrage then tries to find Glendinning. Hot on his tail is Fairley. Goes to Gastev. Gastev shoots for an open goal, but not good. And they really need that one. There's the fiery little John Gastev.
That's exactly what he said to himself.
His parents were Gastovich.
Ackley, long for Mossop. Beats Keane, who fell over at the crucial moment. Mossop took a big mark early in the first quarter when stationed at full forward and looked as though he might be a threat, but he missed the shot for goal and hasn't really kicked on. And the Kangaroos through Love are into attack again. Brennan out in front, applauded for a fine mark. No mark. Play on. Away goes Lamb. 4 bounces. And the nuggety defender kicks long. It's a good kick. Out comes Glendinning. Well done, Fairley, who's really had the wood on the champion. German to half forward. The Eagles with the numbers, and they win by weight of numbers. And Lewis's skill also. Now Miles. Keane. 8 marks tonight. So confident. Barrich on the centre line. Hickey giving chase. Good pass to Wiley, who will kick from 50 metres out and might bring fully fledged smiles to faces, but he doesn't go for goal. He goes to Miles, who has a shot and misses, and the Eagles have wasted 3 opportunities in 6 minutes in this quarter, and they are proving costly.
And there was a silly kick by Robert Wiley because he was directly in front and he kicked to Miles, a backman, in the forward pocket with little angle.
Gave him a tremendous, that was bad play. Chris Lewis slips and Sean Smith with a big leap, and John Law kicks it cleverly out in the German direction. German will take it over the line, out of bounds, pursued by Malaxos. It'll be thrown in centre wing position.
The Eagles manager Russell Cox said to me that he thought the big problem this week was to get the Eagles revved up the way they were last Sunday after that enormous success against Hawthorn, and that's the way it's been. Not the same team. Keane, Malaxos. Turner now, just forward of the centre to half forward. Glendinning swamped again. Spargo and Smith. Well done, Ross Smith. Long to half forward. Too far for Hepburn. Well judged Bartlett. And half back quickly to Lamb.
Lamb to centre wing, looking for Malaxos, and German through like a bullet. Gastev, clever dodge. Steadies and plays it short. Over the top of Lockett goes, having a quiet day, and gives away a free kick to McCann. McCann shows a bit of venom, which is not usual for Stephen. Wonderfully fair player and a hugely talented one. Nice kick. Out it goes to Smith, who will give it a big one. Drives it very long down towards the half-forward line. It was Cracker, Jim Cracker, who went very high that time. Lamb follows on. Barrage takes it over the line out of bounds, and the Northerners swing into attack again.
7.5 minutes down, third term. The Eagles standing up north, a 4-goal lead. Hepburn with the big spring again. Sean Smith, short-circuited. Worsfold with dash and confidence from defence. Kicks to space in the middle of the ground. Lewis and Law, what a battle. John Law, the consummate defender, tying it up, preventing the brilliant Lewis from getting away and winning a free kick. That very tough interpretation, holding the ball against Lewis, and Law kicks to half forward.
That was a tough interpretation. Worsfold takes the mark. I didn't think that Lewis was ever in possession that time, or was lying on the ball. Here comes Worsfold, plays it short, dangerous. Well done, McNish, very clever hand pass. Gastev tries it short to Malaxos. He should go on. To Wiley, is dangerous, is bad. Wiley might make the best of it. Gets it kicked, it's smothered. Wonderful football by P. Cracker. Wonderful play by Phil Cracker. And what a skillful player. Thin. He's gone to the back line and looked $1 million.
Paul Pios preparing to come on for the first time tonight. As Fairley roosted out towards Mossop and Keane. Larkin, Keane, well done. Could he kick a goal? Be a beauty if he does. Great tackle though. Fine tackling by Chandler. Mossop to Ackley. But they can thank Chandler for some strong work. Larkin rakes it to Love. Just beats Gastev's tackle. Good solid mark though. In defence by Worsfold at halfback.
Looks a very promising player, does this teenager. Here's another teenager. Out it goes to Lewis, who is a player of unlimited potential. Sends it long, looking for Anea. Anea gets a favourable bounce, yes. Tackled well too by German, and the tackle is successful as Anea loses possession and it goes out of bounds.
Nine and a half minutes in. Still the Eagles on top in the ruck, although Hickey, an unlikely ruckman, got the knock. Ackley. Oh, Lewis. Law dishing it out. Pios just off the bench. The throw in to take place wide out on the Eagles' right half forward flank.
Andrew Lockyer has had a very bad day. Pios on the ground now. Keane lost the run of it badly, bad luck. It was Ackley who drove it downfield. Miles gets into position and is beaten by the very skillful high-marking Smith. Out of the Sean Smith it was to Law. This is dangerous for them once again as there's Jim Cracker there, and wherever Jim Cracker is, Hepburn goes down. Good tackle by Lamb. There's still North Melbourne players everywhere. Love gets it back towards the square, and the ball is taken. All dangerous. Back it comes from Lamb to Lamb, and Lamb then kicks it short out wide and kicks it well. No, he doesn't kick it all that well. It bounces away from Turner, and it's out of bounds. But they certainly took a chance in the goal square there.
Not much noise coming from that vast Prindiville stand. Heading on towards the halfway mark of this third quarter. And the reason for the quietness is the fact that the home team, the heroes, the Eagles, are down by 4 goals and making no progress in this quarter. Still goalless. The Kangaroos have kicked 1. So a flat patch in the game. McDonald, good knock, but Hart Sharks. Worsfold now, having a good quarter. Well placed, McNish behind the centre. Worsfold kept coming. Not much to kick to. And McCann from behind Pios with reach and judgment. Too good.
He simply dwarfs Pios as his new opponent. Too big assignment for the young fellow. That's the young one, Pios. Long kick by McCann, a good 65 metres. Oh, Smith. Sean Smith, a sensational leaper. Donald McDonald limping in front of the pack. Matthew Larkin steadies and kicks a goal. Well, that Sean Smith has got a sensational spring, which was illustrated there. He's not tall, he's not a beanpole, but a wonderful spring, and out to Matthew Larkin it went.
Jump Sean Smith, but Matthew Larkin, who had some 17 possessions in that first half, just demonstrating again those wonderful skills, and he knows exactly when to make his move, to move down, take the hand pass, and he's a very, very dangerous player. He's forever running.
North's biggest lead, 29 points, beyond the 12-minute mark of the third term, and the Eagles looking for some spark. McNish kicks very long from 70 metres out. Phil Cracker playing beautifully back in defence and really showing champion's versatility. Ross Smith now, fine defender. To the centre line, Mossop and Keane. Well done, Big Laurie, couldn't quite hold it. Gastev, back to Keane. Loves to try and have a run. Jim Cracker to half forward. Miles, Sean Smith with tail up after a big mark. Ball up 60 metres from the Kangaroos' goal front.
We saw Phil Cracker the last time the match was here, and he played so poorly at the airport that he just wouldn't say hello to anybody, but certainly he's re-justified himself. There's Jim Cracker pushing it downfield. He's re-justified himself in the eyes of all the West Australians who know what dazzling players they are. And here's that young man again who's done so well, Mark Hepburn. Really been a big factor in the North Melbourne lead at this stage. He's kicked a couple himself. He gave one out there just a few moments ago. It was a very impressive performance. Wonderful physique, 194 centimetres. Comes in the shoot, he kicks with his left foot and he puts them out of sight normally. Well, he easily makes the distance. Looks good, he just made the distance. Yes, he does.
Very good judge.
He just. But he's a splendid looking kick. Left footers are either good or bad, Kev, aren't they?
Well, he's a beautiful looking left foot kick. He's booted 3 goals. And from their key forwards, and we mentioned before the game that they really had to play well for North Melbourne to really regain their momentum again, and now they've kicked 6 goals, their key forwards. 3 to McDonald, who's playing at full forward, and now 3 to Mark Hepburn, which is a wonderful effort from centre and half forward for an 18-year-old. And Hepburn's had 5 kicks and 3 handballs, and he's booted 3 goals, playing in the toughest position on the ground.
Malaxos wins the hard ball out of the middle. Ackley almost missed it, had a mighty swing. Malaxos again, and gains another 30 metres for the Eagles. Turner dispensed with by Chandler. Crowd says it should have been a free. Spargo, now Chandler. Malaxos, Keane. Wild kick though, in a hurry. Blind under pressure, and Ackley in the way, and North Melbourne in total control, leading by 35 points and right on top. Larkin receives from McCann, and with another beautiful pass like that one we saw in the second quarter. Now Law to Hepburn again. Spoil from Brennan. Worsfold keeps it in. He's had a big quarter with 5 kicks, 2 marks. Hepburn though kicks long again with that left boot. No marking power there for North. Ball up 20 metres out.
Underneath it, the man who's been the catalyst on the forward line, number 3, Jim Cracker. An extraordinary player. He really weaves a spell. He's just so clever, amazingly quick. Here he comes, but as Zanotti takes it away from him and goes for one of his tumbling runs, then drives it very well out to centre wing position with a good pass. Andrew McNish dodges his opponent, and he can go for a long way now. Should go again. Kicks it long and high. Good kick. Oh, Phil Cracker. Absolutely brilliant once again. That was as good as you can play. Beat Pios pointless. Not Pios's fault. Then cleverly to McCann. McCann very long to centre wing position. And over the back, it's German against Malaxos. Malaxos gets foot to ball. Doesn't cover much distance. A great punch puts it in North Melbourne territory again. And here they go.
Hickey long to half forward. Lamb beats Jim Cracker. Brennan. Now Lamb running onto it. Well played. My word, he's a good player. Very complete defender. Zanotti breaks away from Hickey and centres for Pios and Turner. Mossop, McCann, North too good. Steele back to half forward. Sean Smith, 2 bites, couldn't get a third one. Fumbling by the Eagles. Love, big chance for North Melbourne. Smith, Jimmy Cracker, 20 metres out, hook shot is great. And the Kangaroos can do no wrong. Jimmy's third, he's starring, and they lead by 41 points.
Well, Jim Cracker there. Have a look at the magic skills once more. He very rarely fumbles. He's always low to the ground, and what a magnificent left foot snap. We've got Jim with 2 goals playing in the forward pocket and creating havoc. We've also got Phil Cracker, of course, playing out of the back pocket and roving, also booting a couple of goals. So the 2 Cracker brothers able to get amongst the goals and create the magic that we've so long admired.
Yes, I'd love to have them back in this territory, but I think North are going to hold on to them for the end of their career. Here they go through McNish. Wonderful football by Larkin. Wiley 2-1 against him. Phil Cracker gathers him in. Rob Wiley shoots for goal, but makes it a point. But Phil Cracker's interception and spoil with just about 3 or 4 minutes ago when he stopped Pios from Larkin was absolutely spectacular.
Lane wearing off. Man who gives the Eagles so much normally. There's Phil Cracker again, who is just full of confidence and skill back in defence. Lockyer looking to come back on. As Phil kicks to the centre line. Now Hickey, long to half forward. Miles. Back to the centre line. Nothing there for the Eagles at all. Out on the full. Hence Hickey's rather nonchalant attempt to try and take the mark, because he knew a free kick was his anyway. Wiley coming off and Lockyer back for the Eagles.
Stephen Hickey kicks it pretty long. Hepburn almost took it. They're winning in the air. Good tackle. Short ones hit the post. I was watching, I thought there was a free there, and Love's quick hurried kick hit the post.
I don't think there was any doubt there was a free. Doug, John O'Neill was caught too high.
Yeah.
Pios under this one, back at half back now. Kicks to Lewis, who's got 2 to beat. Law to Phil Cracker. German. Pios. Popped it around the mouth, goes on. Malaxos to half forward. Lockyer the palm down, but nobody there to receive. Larkin, well tackled by Lockyer, but still gains 40 metres with the kick. Miles and Sean Smith. And Larkin in the way once more.
It's not their day. Kick off the ground, goes straight to Larkin, onto Spargo, into the centre of the ground. German getting a bundle of kicks as usual out wide. Lockyer there is outmanoeuvred this time by Love. No, Love's got 2-1 against him, and here's their best defender, trundling it over the line in the person of Love.
Well, the small brigade of North Melbourne, Larkin and German and the Cracker brothers, have really started to take over this game.
The Eagles ahead on handballs, but way behind on the scoreboard, and they might be further behind in a moment. Jason Love kicks his second. And North Melbourne just blitzing the Eagles in this quarter. They've kicked 5 goals to none in the term. 5 goals, 1 behind. And the Eagles have kicked 5 behinds.
And what a terrific knockout by Donald McDonald, who's played a terrific game. 3 goals himself, and really he set that one up for Jason Love with that big thump. not only are the small men doing well, Ross Smith doing particularly well on the half-back flank.
It's interesting, Kev, they've gone into the game with only one ruckman of the Eagles, and Laurie Keane's looking pretty tired at this stage, I feel.
Well, Alex Yushenko out because of a hamstring injury, and of course O'Connell, who has done very well for them in defence and on the forward line, also missing through injury. Yes,
and in their defence, I think they only had 23 fit players to pick from, so it was pretty tough. John O'Neill with the ball now. O'Neill back to the centre of the ground. McNish has got a big job. Punches away from German. Recovers very well and kicks it high in there and doesn't gain any distance. And he kicks it out of bounds on the full. Well, that really was, after getting the ball so well, that was very bad football. I'm not sure at this stage whether it's right out in the full.
Didn't quite carry it.
No, it's on the other side of the ground. The umpire's arms weren't up. But there's a very disappointed Ron Alexander. And when we last saw him, he was absolutely ecstatic as they'd stolen that match from Hawthorn. But Big Ron, who was captain of Fitzroy and a very, very distinguished player in Victorian football, is seeing how tough it is tonight.
47-point lead to North. Hickey. Oh, Lamb lost his way there. Couldn't quite see where the ball had bounced. Jim Cracker to Spargo, who likes kicking them long on the run. But while he does kick long and was on the run, he didn't find the target. In fact, missed it by many metres. It's Brennan's free kick. He'll have to come back and kick over the mark, and that's enough to set off the parochial Eagle crowd. Pro-Eagle crowd, and Brennan kicks now over the mark, long to half-back. McDonald and Keane, Hickey to Steele, and North looking very accomplished. Hepburn, a natural left footer, great kick, his fourth goal, sensational performance in his second VFL game, and the Kangaroos leading by 53 points. And who would have predicted this result, Kevin Bartlett, after last Sunday's game at Subiaco?
Well, there's been so many strange games this year where it is very hard to follow the teams on form, but Mark Hepburn, what an exciting prospect. 4 goals and what a magnificent kick. That one from the 50-metre line. And I think tonight we're seeing a star in the making in young Mark Hepburn to be holding down centre-half forward. We see he's already had 9 kicks and 3 handballs, and he's booted 4 goals. And he really has made a big difference to this North Melbourne side playing in that key position.
Out towards Gastev, and a super mark. Super mark, he's about 60 metres out. We're getting back to Hepburn. How badly must this crowd feel when he came across from Claremont, another West Australian, going across to Victoria, coming back home and rubbing salt into the injury by playing such a super game. Gastev decides to kick for goal, won't make the distance. Steve McCann's the only one there, didn't mark it. John Law showing tough, aggressive football. Left foot's it out of danger. Gastev goes racing after it again. It's out of bounds. But certainly the West Australians have been magnificent, what they've supplied to Victorian football. And I can't quite work out how they would lose him at this stage, Kev, with drafting coming in around the corner, but I don't know the full story, of course.
Kangaroos by 53 points. Malaxos, Turner, running into a wall of Kangas of blue and white stripes. Hickey, Steele from behind the centre, long to Jim Cracker. Lamb over the top, Zanotti, and now a throw in on the half-forward flank for North Melbourne. And the Kangas in this term have kicked 6 goals to none.
Well, the weakness in North Melbourne side for the last couple of years, Doug, has been the key centre-half forward and full forward posts, and they've fallen down so badly there. So it's been a real find for them to pick up Hepburn playing so well so late in the season.
Here comes Sean Smith. Look at the leap. Went too early that time and gave away a free kick, I think. I'm not too sure that it was there, but Miles has got it, and that's all that matters. Out to Zanotti. He'll get caught. He breaks away with good evasive running. Swerving out of danger. Out wide it goes to Malaxos. Stephen's not the quickest in the world, but he uses the ball well. This is good too. Got to hurry up there, Worsfold, which he does. Down towards full forward. There's Bartlett there at the moment, never looked like it. Lockyer having a dreadful night, can't get it. Here comes Gastev taking on Matt Larkin, and he's got 2 to 3 against him. Lockyer then gets a left footer to it. It dribbles through for 1 behind. They're really broken down in key positions, and there's gentleman John Kennedy.
Well, Lockyer has been well held by Steve McCann, and also Ian Feely's done a wonderful job on Ross Glendinning.
And equal opportunity seems to be alive and well at North Melbourne, with a lady statistician handing the notes over to Kanga Kennedy and John Dugdale. As McDonald kicks long, thumping long, beyond the centre. Smith out-jostled by Miles, the bigger man. Barrich, Malaxos, big possession winner. Turner, making very heavy weather of it. Back to Dean Turner. Strong tackle, Spargo. Doesn't win the free. Hickey, strong and very tough. German, bad kick. Straight to Main Waring. Back from the sidelines to the centre of the ground. Steele in front. Solid attempt. Couldn't quite hold it. And near. And the wheels are really off for the Eagles. They are fiddling. North far more desperate. The Crackers. Double bungers. Jim out in front of Love. Zanotti giving chase. Bit of finesse from Love. Be a good goal if he goes all the way, which he does. And the Kangaroos in some supreme control. 3 goals to Jason Love. And look at that scoreboard. A 58-point lead to North. And they came here as the underdogs.
Once again, the two Crackers setting up this forward thrust. And Jason Love, who was a Port Melbourne star, went to Essendon. Couldn't make it there, but I suppose so far his claim to fame has been kicking 6 goals against the Sydney Swans, including 4 in the last quarter. But playing very well tonight, as we can see by his stats: 13 kicks, 4 handballs and 3 goals. And the ultimate compliment played to Mark Hepburn, with Ross Glendinning now going from full forward to centre-half back, and Glenn Bartlett to full forward for the Eagles.
Yes, Glendinning is the only real key position player. Here comes German, who kicks really long and straight normally. And here he goes, won't make the distance. In front was Mossop. Jim Cracker's there. Here he goes, Phil Cracker. It's his turn. He's got one. And he's been one of the best players of the night, and that's his second.
I seem to have him down for 3 goals, so we might have to check that with the statistician.
I have done.
2 goals?
Jim's got 3. Phil's
Jim's got 3. Well, I've got him around the wrong way. But between them, 5 goals. And they've just been fantastic tonight. North Melbourne just about winning in every position. Maybe Worsfold on Spargo is their best defender. Laurie Keane's battled hard in the ruck, and John Anea has been a contributor around the ground. But apart from that, very little for the Eagles tonight in the key forward post at full forward or centre-half forward or around the ground.
This third quarter, one of the Eagles' blackest half hours of the season. Lewis, though, could salvage something here, and does. Big roar, still some optimism, or is it Bronx? I think it's genuine optimism. But they trail by 58 points, and even the Eaglettes perhaps finding it hard to muster full enthusiasm. But at long last, after 28.5 minutes, they get their first goal for the term.
And Lewis started the game what appeared to be on the half-forward flank. Then he looked like he became a spare man in defence, because John Law went down with him, and now he's back on the half-forward flank.
And I think he's probably the most skilled player in the side. And I reckon he's best up forward, where he's proved he can kick goals. A beautiful kick by Keane to Bartlett. In front was Lockyer. Nobody to pick up the crumbs once again. Out wide it goes towards that centre wing position, and Turner comes racing in for it, but does make it. Battles with Sean Smith. Sean Smith falls all over the top of him, and the free kick will go to the West Coast Eagles.
Late in the third term, centering kick. Lockyer from behind. Larkin with judgment. Superb mark at half-back, and he's had a big quarter and been a very steady player all night in the back half. Spargo. Well taken by Lamb. 2 accomplished in the air for Jim Cracker, and doesn't quite find Gastev on the full. Keeps it in nicely. Lamb, who delivered the ball to Gastev, takes Gastev's hand pass. Kicks too far for Lewis. Throw in, half-forward flank for the Eagles.
Well, the Eagles...
Oh, sorry, Kevin, you go.
I was just going to say, Doug, the Eagles would be very disappointed with Wiley and Barrage, and Chris Main Waring and Turner and Lockyer. They've got so many players who did so well last week against the Hawthorn side. Well down on form tonight.
And the three-quarter time scoreline is a disaster for the home team. And in that particular half hour of football, I'd say their final 5 prospects in 1987 have just about been blown away. The major goal kickers to the last change for North: 4 to Hepburn, 3 each to Jim Cracker, McDonald and Love, and 2 to Phil Cracker. And for the Eagles, 2 each to Glendinning and Anea. At three-quarter time at Subiaco, the Kangaroos lead by 58 points, 17-10, 112, to the West Coast Eagles, 7-12, 54. Well, they've found a centre-half forward, it seems, and Doug, I just wonder if it might make the difference and really make John Kennedy's North Melbourne a force to be reckoned with in the finals. Of course, he'd be playing that sort of talk down at the moment.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I was thinking before you spoke, that he'll go home contented tonight. He also found Chandler too, this young player, up to half-time, hasn't been on the ground, a good player, but certainly another key position player was exactly what they want. And here comes the only one they've got there, Laurie Keane, battling with Mossop on the ball. Incidentally, Donald McDonald did pretty well against him. Keane sends a good 70-metre one down in the Glendinning direction. He went far too early. Over the top it comes. Good football, Hart. Left foot snap, and the crowd are still hoping for a miracle. Ecstatic applause. And Keane sent them swarming into attack again with another prodigious kick.
Well, you can't kick much better than Laurie Keane. Maybe Mark Hepburn is the only one on the ground who can match him for length of kick. But Hart is very, very quick. And he's been a contributor without starring because he's had a lot of problems against the smaller players. And, of course, David Ackley has been changing out of the back pocket in a roving role on him.
That took 30 seconds, but they need 9 more of those in this quarter to snatch the match. Barrich and the crowd really still with hope in their hearts as Barrich kicks to half forward. The scout is McNish. High with the left. Glendinning late. Well done, McCann. His body was always in great position. A few bodies not in orthodox positions there. But behind are the Eagles. North lead by 51 points, 90 seconds into the last quarter.
Well, Steve McCann has a magnificent physique. Playing his 219th game tonight. I think that's probably more than anybody on the ground, but he's still a fine player. Mossop in front. Keane punches to Lewis. He's the man who could do it. Steadies and swings into attack and thumps it through. He has got such wonderful skills. That's his second. And repeat, the crowd come to life and think it might happen.
Well, you mentioned why John Kennedy was going crook, because this is exactly what he didn't want to happen. For the Eagles to get a couple of quick goals, for the crowd to really get right behind them. And that's exactly what has happened. And North Melbourne have relaxed, and we've seen before the Eagles with this crowd very, very parochial, giving them tremendous support. And who knows, another couple of quick goals, we may even have a game on our hands, and that's why John's upset.
I take back my sarcasm. Fair enough too. Now North looking for the reply. 45 points in it. And yes, it's not over. Remember that fabulous 1970 grand final? Collingwood led by 44 points at half-time, and Carlton kicked 7 goals in 13 minutes to cut the margin to a kick. Well, if the Eagles could repeat that right now, they would be within a kick. And we'd have half a quarter to go. Zanotti out to the wing. Good spoil by Hickey, who's got better as this game has worn on. Throw in just North's attacking side of the wing.
And a magnificent physique. That was him, number 24, Stephen Hickey, and for a wingman, he really was a pretty frightening sight. Well played, Mossop. Down towards centre half forward. Over the back, and one of the best defenders on the ground, Lamb. Out to Turner. Turner takes the mark. Off he goes from the centre of the ground. Spears it out to McNish. And the crowd getting excited. Out to the flank. This is dangerous, but it's well taken. Well done, Hart. He's kicked 1 goal in this term, and he really had to work hard to take that difficult pass. He did it. Ross Smith, that tough defender, bearing down on him, and if ever they want a goal, this is one. David Hart is coming in to cross the 50-metre line as he comes to kick for goal. Right on the line he is now. Kicks it beautifully, not far enough, and what a tremendous leap by Stephen McCann. Well, there's fire in Steve McCann at the moment, Kent.
Well, McCann and Fairley have both done their jobs tonight, playing at full-back and also in the back pocket.
And it's not often you'd hear a crowd so excited when their team is 45, 44 points down. Barrich. And the Eagles suddenly with the impression of a team that might just run hot. Lockyer, the knock-on was good. Ross Smith, loose paddle, bad kick, free kick to the Eagles. And it's within range, although the angle very acute. And it'd be so easy, Kev, for North Melbourne to become a little bit rattled. Because if this crowd really starts to stall the Eagles home, it must put a lot of pressure in the minds of the visiting team. Glendinning doesn't hit the big one.
A big sigh with the ground there, and the crowd behind the goals that was on its feet almost in unison sank down to their seats. And here's Steve McCann again. He can kick it as long as most too, and this is no exception. Wide out there it goes. In front is Turner, punched away from him, over the line out of bounds. But that really was a long kick of McCann's and puts it out of the danger zone at this stage.
A few big ones out there, aren't there? McCann, McDonald and Hepburn for North. And number 25 for the Eagles, who's rucked pretty well too. Chance for Hart. Wouldn't quite bounce for him. And Larkin, always a formidable opponent. Forces a throw in, but it's only about 30 metres from the Eagles' goal. 5.5 minutes gone. They've kicked the first two, and the Kanga looks very worried.
Yes, well, Jim Cracker would have picked that one up. That's just that one fatal fumble that time. Here comes Laurie Keane late on the scene. Can't take it, gives a chance to Turner. Might have been a free. It was. And the Eagles will go back into attack again, and there's Chandler back on the ground, who we thought made a magnificent debut in his first half of league football. Here comes Turner, too far out to score. Sends a very long kick down to the half-forward line. Up they go, and Glendinning in front. Lewis runs into a stunner. Here comes Barrich. Gastev has got to turn and twist out of danger and can't do it. Good smother. He hand passed towards Lewis, and it was pushed over the line by John Law.
Kangaroos have been pumped up side tonight, and they're not going to let this one slide without really a huge struggle. They're still very much in the box seat, and the Eagles will have to be very good to get back. North looking full of purpose and dedication to the task at hand to me. Ackley scrambling it to half-back. Malaxos, good goer for the Eagles, one of their best, but fairly in the way between full-back and half-back for North.
Fairley, who's more used to being up the other end of the ground, trying to kick some goals, has played well in defence. German there, punched away by Malaxos. Good strong football, Barrich, right on the boundary line, hooks it back towards full forward. Glendinning outmarked, and there's a free kick in front anyhow, and it goes to Steve McCann, who was in perfect position. That front position, when you have a physique like McCann, is very tough to boot. And there's a 15-metre penalty and some hoots from the crowd.
He comes out towards centre half back. Doesn't kick so well this time. Got close to the man on the mark. Keane in front. Heroic performance tonight. Rucked all night. German under pressure, not kicking far. So not the spoil. And near the gather. Nothing there for the Eagles. McDonald to half forward, but Lamb, a little nudge on Jimmy Cracker, and then kicks beautifully to position and sets something up. McNish through the centre, spearing pass, but there's no target on the end of it. Lewis with the left from 40 metres, great kick. The champion youngster gets his third. The Eagles have kicked the only 3 goals in this last quarter, and the margin 37 points at the 8-minute mark.
And Lewis, who has been beaten by John Moore for 3 quarters, even though he's shown touches of brilliance, has cut loose in this final quarter. And those fears of John Kennedy might be coming true, because the Eagles still have plenty of time. They're playing much better. They've had all the ball in this final quarter. And a quick goal out of the centre here, and we could be in line for maybe a boil over, Tim.
Lewis is one who can transform a game in just a few moments, and that's what he might have done. Chandler doesn't kick all that well. A good punch by McDonald. Trying to come through was Brennan. Larkin clever. German who kicks the ball well. Gets a hand pass out to Sean Smith, who's at the 50-metre line. Kicks a long one down towards that forward line. John Mossop never looked like it really, and it bounces over the line out of bounds. His opponent being Bartlett.
Great test for the Eagles' defence now. They just can't afford to let North in for a goal. Just one goal might be enough to stop the momentum. Keane and Mossop. Free kick to Mossop. Oh, that could start a riot. The umpire saying that Keane had hold of Mossop's jumper. I think Keane's saying that Mossop had hold of his. Very hard to tell from that angle.
Well, it did look like he was hanging on to John Mossop's left arm.
It's funny, Kev, looking from here, I thought it was the other way around, but obviously you were right, up by Peter Cameron, who was close to the scene.
It's an unfortunate one because this kick could just about put it out of the Eagles' reach. And Mossop kicks a goal. He missed from close in early in the match, made no mistake then. And North get the steadier and lead by 43 points.
And they needed that steadier too. Let's have a look at it once more. I think quite clearly he gave him a bit of a yank on the arm then, running in.
I think he must be getting pretty tired, number 25. I think because Coach John Alexander had so little to pick from, I mean in numbers, but Keane is the only one who can ruck at all. There's nobody there to assist him. I guess Bartlett's the only one with any sort of physique that might do it. But Keane has had 4 quarters of running around in general play trying to pick up all the kicks in the world. Has been their best player. Comes in, even Stephen that one with McDonald. McDonald's bigger has worried him, Larkin. And here comes Jim Cracker streaming out in front of Lamb. It's been a perfect battle between these two great players. Cracker never makes a mistake. Look at that. One grab at it all the time, and running downfield was Jeff Chandler, who's made a wonderful debut tonight. His first game. He's from Strathmore, 21 years of age, and another one's got a future, but the exciting one, and that's because of his physique, has been Hepburn tonight. He could take a key position for North for years to come. Chandler's kick, not quite the distance. Bartlett punched when he might have marked. Sean Smith, quick hand pass, Phil Cracker, across it goes. Jim Cracker nearly took a miracle one, hooks it high in the air, and he's human. He made a mistake.
And it was amazing that when Phil got the ball, it was shot across to Jim. It's radar.
Pios prizes it free of those in the crowd. Mossop doing the roving. Beats everybody. Pios again. Goes short to Worsfold. Half-back flank for the Eagles. 12 minutes gone, final term. And the West Coasters have kicked 3 goals to 1 in this quarter. But that one goal kicked by John Mossop, vital for North. Now McNish. Inside nicely. Bartlett well tackled by Hickey, the strong, tough wingman. And forces a throw in as the ball comes loose and crosses the line.
Yeah, when Big Bartlett has to do much finessing, he's in lots of trouble. His best job is as a shadower. Well done, Keane again. Lewis breaks away too far out to score to centre wing. What happened there? Free kick. And being called back, it was awarded to Keane before Lewis got the ball. So good decision by the umpire, fair decision. Long kick by Keane towards the half-forward line, and a super mark taken by Steele on to Phil Cracker, who's been absolutely magnificent. Doesn't kick this one out all that well for a Cracker. Out it comes to Pios. Pios is quite content to dribble the ball towards the line because hot on his heels is James Cracker. It's out of bounds.
The Eagles ahead on handballs. Just behind overall on possessions. Away goes Brennan. Long torpedo to half forward. Lewis from the side, but didn't judge it. Roved it beautifully. A long way out. Good hand pass. Turner. Barrage. Wouldn't just quite work for the Eagles. Hickey deliberately over the line. On the blind side of the field umpire. A throw in.
Gee, that was good defence. The Eagles did just about everything you could expect them to do. And yet they were frustrated eventually by Hickey, but it was well played. Glendinning. Hurried snap out of bounds. Well, he's had a couple of pretty quiet weeks, as Big Ross. He has a monumental job, of course, whenever John Alexander sees a problem in a key position. Number 1 choice is number 4, Ross Glendinning. And really his ideal position for the Eagles would be at centre half forward. Here comes David Ackley, who twice won a best and fairest with Sydney Swans. Wears contact lenses, night time difficult. Punched down by Keane. Once again, German boots it downfield in front. Brennan goes on quickly and looks for Glendinning. Glendinning out wide there with McCann. No, it's Lockyer. Here comes Anea towards McNish. Underneath it, Lewis. Oh, he's taken another super mark. That was a freak mark. And there's no doubt he's got all the dazzling skills of those mighty Cracker brothers, and of course a much bigger, stronger physique. But well, he's not a star of the future. Already in his first full season, he's a star. Absolutely exciting player, a thriller, worth coming to watch. And he gets his third goal for the quarter. That's a wonderful effort. And that's 4 for the match.
And the Eagles are still not without a chance, because they are playing much better than North Melbourne in this quarter. And Chris Lewis, what a wonderful mark, and 3 goals for the quarter and 4 for the match. He certainly has been a dominating player on the forward line in this quarter. 14 kicks, 4 goals. And John Law, after, as I said before, after doing pretty well for 3 quarters, all of a sudden your opponent boots 3 goals on you in the first 15 minutes of the final quarter. And Chris Mainwaring, one of the Eagles players, really struggling for form tonight.
Halfway through the final term, 37 points is the deficit. The Eagles with a huge task in front of them, but they haven't stopped trying in this last quarter. Anea marks it. Yes, he's been paid. And now runs on. They've really got to move it in a hurry and kick goals in a hurry. Good spoil, Glendinning, and well trapped. And well delivered to Malaxos, and well passed to Lewis.
When you're hot, you're hot.
And he is magic in this last term. He'll be kicking from 50 metres. He's a lovely long kick. Can he kick number 5? It's good. It's home. At 3/4 time, the margin was 58 points. It's back to 31, and the Eagles aren't beaten yet.
Well, I think that a move will have to be made on Chris Lewis. 4 goals in, 16 minutes. John Kennedy will have to make the move now for John Law, because Lewis is so hot at the moment that one would expect the confidence of John Law would be very low.
Centre square infringement, Eagles ball.
And Keane, long and strong as usual, looking for Lockyer. Lockyer and McCann. Lockyer marks it. Oh, he's going to go on for a second. And he outstrength Steve McCann that time. And I think both of these fellows incidentally came from Geraldton originally, Andrew Lockyer and Steve McCann. But what a wonderful mark that one was. There it is in replay again. And McCann went underneath it, was jostled out. Lockyer from 50 metres shoots for goal. Kicks it long and high, but off direction. 1 behind. Well, they're a side that's worth following, the West Coast Eagles, particularly at home. They give value. They've only been beaten here twice for the season, and really they've given a good last term up to date.
5 goals down, 18 minutes in. Boy, it'd be some win if they snatched it. Still a mountainous task. Anea. They're working so hard in this last quarter. Malaxos to Keane, who is 55 metres out, sinks the left slipper, and goes! The big man has been a hero tonight. The margin just 4 goals. They've cut it from 58 points at 3/4 time.
Well, Laurie, what a great game he has played. And look at that kicking power of Laurie Keane. And you could sense the urgency in the Eagles very early in this quarter. And maybe the lethargy of the North Melbourne side. Maybe John Kennedy knows more about his players than we do, Tim.
No doubt.
Maybe he knows that they can sit back and take it easy when they think they've got a game won.
Well, I can't remember a big fella who's got such dodging, evasive skills. And here they go again. Turner, you better hurry. Gets foot to ball and in front. Wonderfully aggressive football by Hart. Out wide, Malaxos fumbles. All over the top of him there was Larkin, and the free kick will go to Steve Malaxos.
And he's played a big last quarter, Steve Malaxos. He's got on top of German.
Down with Larkin, 15-metre penalty against him. I don't think Steve Malaxos will quite make the distance, but he may. It'll be just about the 50-metre mark will he kick from. Malaxos, who kicks the ball superbly short when he's passing, but not a noted big long kick. And he kicks it short to Lockyer and does it well. Knew his deficiency, doubted his effort, doubted his ability to get the long one there, and Lockyer gave the lead, and it really was, as usual, a splendid Malaxos pass. Malaxos has had 32 possessions for the game. Lockyer kicked for goal, a driving kick it was, and just missed.
That would have made things interesting, Doug.
Oh, it sure would.
I've got the record book out, KB. I'm going to look up the biggest ever comeback. 58 points at three-quarter time's not bad, but they've still got a long, long way to go, as I keep on stressing.
Steve McCann now has been placed onto Chris Lewis, and Johnny Law's gone onto Lockyer.
German, who's disappeared in this quarter, kicks north into attack. Miles, costly fumble. Hepburn now. Pios takes it away, but oh, Hepburn gets a lucky free kick. That did look Tiggy Touchwood. He's forward of the wing, between wing and half-forward flank. An outstanding performer tonight in his second game only. 4 goals, and what an ordeal for him now, with North finding the heat really on them. To the forward pocket. Steele from the angle, good snap. Oh, the bouncer's lucky for North, but well done, Lamb. Brilliant. Zanotti from half-back. Lewis, the danger man again. With great courage, he stood his ground. Barrage now for the Eagles. In front of Malaxos. Up towards half-forward. Into attack they go again. Glendinning, spoiled from Fairley. Hart. Pushed in the back. Gets a free kick on the 50-metre line, but I think that distance might just be beyond him. He had a shot from there earlier in the quarter and didn't quite make it. He kicked very straight.
Here's the lead.
Goes short to Glendinning. Great pass. Good lead by the skipper. And he's the man to kick a goal. He's kicked 2 tonight. What an important kick this is. It's good. At the 22-minute mark, the margin is just 17 points from 58 points down at the last change.
Well, very poor defensive play by North Melbourne, because one can sense that a player is going to kick short, and they just haven't been standing close enough to their forward, even with their arm in front, just to feel that if they are going to make the lead, that they can run with them and apply a bit of body pressure. And as a result, they've just allowed the Eagles players to make leads without any contact whatsoever.
And Chris Lewis was flattened by a reckless leap there by Passmore, and won't be feeling at all well at the moment as Anir kicks it down in his direction, and a very, very gallant mark taken there by Chandler. This young man has really got promise, and a fine kick it is too. Out to German. German is centre wing. And McCann comes bolting downfield and kicks it 60 metres towards the goal square. Up goes Bartlett, thumps it out wide. Malaxos and Jimmy Cracker. Jimmy Cracker leads, runs into a barrage of opponents. Mossop kicks it straight up in there and gains nothing. Then punches it down. Well played, Keane again. Keane has been magnificent. Miles kicks it out towards centre wing. In front is McNish and might have taken a free. Nice football by Spargo. Hotly pursued there by Worsfold. It's out of bounds.
23 minutes 20 gone. So about 7 minutes of football left in the match. If the Eagles could kick one in a hurry, it could be anything. Steele cleverly. Very cleverly, seeing as he landed it just inside. Larkin almost then kicked it over by accident. But a throw in towards North Melbourne's half-forward flank. The Kangaroos, 10 goals up at the last change. Now leaders by just 3. And Keane and Mossop contest.
And contest evenly. Anir then boots them down. Turner. A good, courageous test mark there. And he'll boot them down to the half-forward line. He'll look for the tall timber. Lockyer. McCann goes up high and punches it away. Out wide it comes, and there's a chance now for Barrich. Barrich will need to hurry. Passmore tackles him. So does Ackley. Barrich's left footer is into the crowd out of bounds. And it was touched, smothered over the line, and the Eagles are in attack.
Deep in attack. 24 and a half minutes gone now. And time on the wing for the Eagles, who are flying in this last term. They've kicked 7 goals to 1, but still need 3 to snatch it. Passmore on now. Here's Gastev. Ball up about 10 metres out. And they've got to kick a goal here. We're almost in time on. They really need one in the next minute or so.
They certainly do. Well played fairly, incidentally, then, as he frustrated Gastev. Umpire Peter Cameron, in his last season of umpiring, been a very colourful one. Glendinning could have taken one there. Here's a chance. Hand pass comes out, picked up by Hart. Hart then left foot snaps, and Hart has put it through. He took it from Barrage, and the crowd have absolutely exploded. And what a gallant last quarter it's been by the West Coast Eagles. Defeat seemed an absolute certainty. There it is again. Out it goes to Hart.
Have a look at the acceleration of Hart. He had players around him, but he's so quick. He just got it, or made himself some space. And one wonders why they didn't play with the same desperation and purpose in their play for the first 3 quarters. This is a last-ditch effort, and they're showing that they can play football, the West Coast Eagles, in this hectic last quarter.
They've kicked 8 goals to 1. 2 goals to win it in the most remarkable circumstances. German for North. Now Jimmy Cracker. Oh, brilliantly trapped by Cracker. 55 metres out. And a behind, an important one too for North to give them a clear 2-kick advantage. And John Kennedy, as excited, as nervous as he's ever likely to be at a football match.
Pios kicks out and kicks it long, looking for Keane. Mossop is his opponent. Good punch out by Mossop too. Racing out towards the ball on the boundary line. Beautifully trapped away from German. Bartlett boots it down to centre wing position. Over the back it comes. Here's a chance for Barrage. Barrage and Hickey. Barrage towards Malaxos. It's taken away from Malaxos. Picked up by Barrage, and he'll boot them into attack. Sends it down towards the half-forward line. Ackley goes up and misses a difficult one. Ross Smith is with it now. Dodges cleverly. A nice, easy hand pass. Steele in trouble. Gets it out nicely. And there's a free kick. And the crowd are roaring in derision. But I think umpire Mitchell was exactly right. There's a very anxious John Kennedy witnessing this amazing recovery by the Eagles. Steve, look at John Kennedy screaming out. They can't hear you, John.
Boy,
I think they can.
27 minutes gone. Time for the Eagles to get 2 goals. Malaxos to half forward. Dangerously bouncing ball. Turner from Glendinning's hand pass. Offline, way offline. Lockyer. Well played, Passmore. Well done, Michael Passmore. The Eagles deep in attack, though. After the throw-in, a scoring chance. It'll be a long quarter. There have been plenty of goals kicked. McCann, but straight to Anea. Impossible angle. Throw in, 20 metres from goal.
What an absolute thriller. Value for money from 2 wonderful sides of the Eagles. An extraordinary comeback. Mossop fighting hard. Here comes Hart again. One behind. Just got in front of Johnny Law. And there's the scoreboard, 108 to 119, and we're into the 27-minute mark.
Jeff Chandler coming off. Love has replaced him. Chandler looking very sick and sorry. Steele receives from Phil Cracker. And now North trying to just play for the siren. But there is time. 28 minutes gone. It'll be a longish quarter. The Eagles have kicked so many goals. McNish, now Hart, one of the heroes. Very high. Barrage, unopposed virtually. Where were the defenders? And he is 35 metres out, as good as directly in front. Almost 29 minutes gone. To cut the margin to 5 points. He has missed it. And fists are thumped into thighs, slammed into the backs of seats. The groan was audible.
Well, that could be the kick that maybe wins the game for North Melbourne, because if that had went through, one could really sense this crowd from that centre bounce.
Fairley gains a good 15 metres, then kicks it long out wide. McCann's high up above the pack. 3 times did he juggle it, and the umpire said he was in control the whole time, and that was a very telling mark from a player who's been a very good one all night. Kennedy and Johnny Dugdale. John Dugdale, of course, one of North Melbourne's greatest players ever. Sitting there as chairman beside John Kennedy. Steve McCann, yeoman serviceman too, kicks a thumping kick a good 70 metres downfield. Over the top of the pack it goes. Sean Smith, then it is Hepburn. Hepburn out wide. The bounce favours Phil Cracker, and he missed. That was one you wouldn't expect him to miss because he doesn't really ever miss anything that's easy, but just missed it.
Boy, Kennedy's face is white and Dugdale's is red. What a contrast. Jeff Miles dashes on. Through half back. Kick through the centre. Nothing there for the Eagles. Ackley. Well played by the veteran. Larkin now on the wing. Bad bounce. Bad one for Lamb, or a bad fumble. Larkin well. Steele. Out to the pocket. Clarkson, who's come off the bench, well spoiled by Zanotti for a throw-in. We've crossed the 30-minute mark. 30 minutes and 30 seconds gone. Maybe 90 seconds left in the match, and North might just be home.
Yes, I think it's just too much now. Keane comes in late on the scene against Hepburn. Hepburn fights for it well, fought for it very well. Hit it over the line out of bounds, and that's a precious few seconds saved. Hepburn has really looked so mature, and such an exciting find for the Northerners tonight. Laurie Keane comes in again. He's been a giant in every way. Down it comes towards Zanotti. Zanotti should take a free kick.
Played advantage.
And here it goes on, advantage rule, down to Turner, down to centre wing it goes, in front John Mossop, a telling mark, and there's the siren for the finish of the match.
No elation from the North Melbourne coach, and I can well imagine that there might be 20 players on the end of a bit of a rocket. The Kangaroos have made their place in the 5 very much more secure than it was 3 hours ago, but they have weathered a great storm in the last quarter in doing so. They kicked just 1 goal 2 in the last quarter, and the West Coast Eagles kicked a magnificent 8 goals 7 to almost snatch an unlikely victory. The major goal scorers of the night for North: Hepburn 4, 3 each to Love, McDonald and Jim Cracker, 2 to Phil Cracker, singles to Mossop, Larkin and Sean Smith. And for the Eagles, Lewis kicked 5, Glendinning 3, 2 each to Hart and Anir, singles to Keane, Barrich and Lockyer. And the final score: North 18-12, 120, the Eagles 15-19, 109, and 11-point win to North. But we certainly got a finish, KB.
It was a fabulous comeback by the West Coast Eagles, and I could imagine Ron Alexander being very disappointed that his players didn't play with that same ferocity and urgency in their play for the first 3 quarters. But what a comeback in that final quarter, and full marks to the Eagles, because it's very difficult when you're 58 points down. But I think John Kennedy sensed some urgency with his side. They've lost their last 2 games to Geelong and St Kilda, and he must have been concerned that maybe they could sit back and relax, and given a sniff of victory, maybe the Eagles could come over the top of them, and that nearly happened. Full marks to Malaxos, Lamb, and of course Lewis in that last quarter with 4 goals. Absolutely brilliant on the forward line, lifted the entire crowd here at the WACA, and also his teammates. I mentioned Malaxos because he had a very good duel with German. I felt German was on top for the first 3 quarters, but Malaxos, what a superb last quarter he played, and it was a gutsy quarter, and he really did set up attack after attack. And also Laurie Keane, tireless in the ruck, and John Anir also for a big last quarter. So in all, the Eagles would be pretty disappointed. North Melbourne would be very, very relieved that they finally came out with a win and would cement their place in the finals.
Yes, as I said, I think they might be on the end of a rocket, but they are now 3 games clear of the West Coast Eagles, and I think 2.5 games clear of Geelong, nearest team outside the 5, and a lot as far as the Eagles are concerned, depending upon what happens at Moorabbin tomorrow when Footscray play St Kilda. The final score at the WACA, an 11-point win to North Melbourne, 18-12, 120 to the Eagles, 15-19, 109. Tim Lane with Kevin Bartlett and Doug Hayward signing off, and handing you back to Drew in our